Scott Summers gave his son away. Not because he didn't love him, not because the boy wasn't worth keeping, because keeping him meant watching him die. What happened to that child? What happened to both of those children is one of the most tragic stories the X-Men ever produced. A story that begins with a father's impossible choice and ends with two men who spent their entire lives hunting each other across time. Neither one certain which of them was real. This is the story of Stryfe. And it begins with a virus.
I came back because there was no other option left. In my time, and I use that phrase loosely because time stopped being something I navigated cleanly the moment I was sent forward, Nathan Christopher Summers was a legend, the one the prophecies named, the hope of the Askani, the warrior who would face apocalypse and end what he had built over 6,000 years of unopposed dominion. In the present, he was an infant, and he was dying. The techno-organic virus does not negotiate. Apocalypse's servants had infected the child in X-Factor number 65, and the technology that ship had used to slow the progression was buying hours, not years. The virus rewrites living tissue at the cellular level. Flesh becomes metal. Nerve becomes circuit. It does not distinguish between the cells it converts and the ones it destroys in the conversion. It was consuming him. We offered Scott a choice that was not in any meaningful sense a choice. We could take the boy forward to the future. There were techniques 2,000 years ahead that could arrest the virus, not cure it. I want to be precise about that, because precision was the only honest thing we had left to offer him. But contain it. Keep it from taking everything it had not yet touched.
There's no time left, kinsman. The child is dying, and your world cannot save him. Only in the future can he be healed. You know what must be done. Let me take Nathan, or he will die.
No, he's my son. You can't just take him from us. If I let you do this, will I ever see him again? Tell me the truth. Will you bring him back?
No.
What we could not offer was a promise he would ever see his son again. He agreed anyway. That is the kind of man Scott Summers is. What we did not tell him, what we could not tell him in the time we had, was the second part of the protocol. The Askani are thorough in the ways that desperate people are thorough. We planned for every failure. And one of those failures was the possibility that the journey itself, 2,000 years of temporal displacement in a body already fighting a war at the cellular level, might kill the child before the medicine had any chance to reach him. So we made a copy, a clone. Cellular duplication as precise as our technology allowed. Insurance. A contingency built by people who had already watched the future burn once and could not bear to watch it burn again for want of preparation. Nathan survived the journey. The virus was contained. The child lived. And then apocalypse came. His forces reached the compound before we had secured the clone, before we had moved him, before we had done any of the things that people with reasonable amounts of time would have done. They took the backup. I lived long enough to understand what that meant. Not immediately. The implications took years to surface in the data we had. But eventually, I understood what we had handed him. Apocalypse would do what he always does with anything he considers an asset. He would build it into a weapon.
He told me I was the heir. And Sabanur, the Ancient One, the one who survived 6,000 years of history while everything built against him collapsed, looked at me and said that I was the one, the original, the genetic legacy of Scott Summers, the most powerful mutant lineage of the age. He said I was Nathan Christopher Summers, and I believed him. I had every reason to believe him because it was what I had been told since the first moment I understood language. And because the alternative was something I did not permit myself to examine until much later. The training was absolute. Apocalypse does not produce half measures. I learned to fight the way other children learn to walk, gradually at first, then completely. By the time I was what humans in this era would call a teenager, I had already killed people who were trying to kill me.
This was not considered unusual. This was considered progress. He taught me that the strong inherit, that the weak are raw material, that mutant kind was the apex of human evolution, and that I, the heir, the chosen, the one he had selected, was the apex of mutant kind, the top of a pyramid that had been building since before recorded history. It is a seductive framework. I want to be honest about that. I have spent considerable time analyzing the ways I was shaped, and the framework he installed was seductive not because it was false in every particular, but because it was true in enough of them. The strong survive. Evolution does not wait for the unprepared. These are observable facts. What he omitted was the part where the strong sometimes survive by lying to the things they built. I found out what I was in pieces. A comment about cellular structure, a hesitation in an advisor's answer, a discrepancy between the records I had access to and the records I was beginning to understand existed elsewhere. A clone. The backup, the contingency, the copy made in case the original didn't survive the journey forward through time. He knew. He had known from the beginning. He took me from the Askani compound understanding exactly what he was taking. And he built me into all of this because a weapon built from the genetic material of Nathan Summers was useful to him. And because the truth of what I was had never been relevant to that utility. The heir does not inherit. The copy is not the original.
At last, the vessel stands ready to contain my true essence. Through it, my vision, forged across endless ages, will finally take form. I will rise, unbreakable, eternal.
I felt him before I saw him. Ancient, immense, a shadow pressing against my soul. Apocalypse, reaching across time itself, seeking a new vessel. My body, my power. But I am not some broken host to be claimed. Let him come. Let him try. Because in that moment, he didn't find a successor. He found something far worse.
No! This is a clone, not suitable to hold my essence. I must enter his body until I can find a suitable host. now he is resisting me. Never has a host been able to resist me. No!
If the strong inherit, then I needed to become stronger than the man who made me. I have been fighting Stryfe my entire life, not as a figure of speech. From my adolescence in the 39th century to every operation I've run since arriving in the 20th, he has been the fixed point, the constant around which everything else is moved. I was raised by two people called Slim and Red. Later, much later, I would understand who they actually were. At the time, they were the people who kept me alive, who taught me that the TO virus consuming my left arm was a thing to be managed, not mourned. You devote a portion of your psionic energy to holding it at the cellular level, every hour of every day without exception. You do not dwell on the cost of that. You allocate it, and you move. This is how they taught me to handle most things. Stryfe was different from the other warlords in ways that became apparent early. Resources that shouldn't have existed. Strategic precision that read as something more than training. A particular fury in the way he fought that felt personal. It took years before I understood why. The question of which of us was the clone was something I lived with for a long time without resolution. Two men, same face, same genetic origin. Each one's survival implying something uncomfortable about the other's claim to the name we were both, in some sense, born with. I came to the 20th century because the past is where it starts. Because apocalypse is here, still early in the accumulation that produces everything we both became. And because the only way to address what he set in motion, across 2,000 years of war, across timelines that were fractured before I was born, is to find the root. I built X-Force from the remains of the new mutants. Young soldiers, good ones. They deserved more transparency from me than I gave them in those early days. That is a debt I keep accumulating. Stryfe arrived in the 20th century ahead of me. He had time to build. The Mutant Liberation Front, the infrastructure, the positioning. By the time the X-Men understood that he existed, he already had pieces on a board they hadn't seen yet. He's very good at that. We always were.
The 20th century is smaller than the future. That is not a complaint. It is an observation. The scale of conflict here, the things that pass for existential stakes in this era, would be considered minor operations in the war I came from. The Mutant Liberation Front was built in 6 months. In the future, 6 months is the time it takes to lose a territory and spend another 3 trying to recover it. What this era has that the future does not is proximity to the source. Apocalypse is here, still constructing, still early. The X-Men are here. Cable is here, building his army from Charles Xavier's former students, imagining that he understands what is coming. He doesn't. I do not hate Nathan Summers. I look at Cable and I see a man who received what I was promised, who was raised by people who cared whether he survived, who carries a name and a legacy that were taken from me before I was old enough to understand I was owed them. That is not hatred. That is something quieter and considerably more durable. The X-Men will learn my name. X-Factor will learn it. X-Force already knows it. But none of them understand yet the scope of what I'm positioning. The MLF is infrastructure. My presence in this century is preparation. What comes next is the accounting for what was done to me,
for what was taken. For a father who made an impossible choice and trusted that the future would care for what he sent forward. It didn't. And that is coming.
2 children left that Askani compound. One grew up knowing who he was, knowing the war he was fighting and why it mattered, knowing that the virus in his arm was the price of survival, and that survival was worth paying for. He grew up with people who made that survival their purpose, who chose him, raised him, shaped him into the soldier the future needed. The other grew up knowing only what he was told, and what he was told was a lie, constructed by the most dangerous man in the history of mutant kind, for the singular purpose of building a weapon precise enough to be useful. A shot will be fired, a target will fall, and the war that began in a future most people in this century will never see will arrive without warning at their door. It will be called the X-Cutioner's Song. And that is a story for another time.